Welcome to Chris Parkin Shooting Sports. Today we've got the full review on the FX DRS Classic Synthetic. This is the 177 version and it is the sub 12 foot-pound specific for the UK market. So if you're from the USA and you think, oh, it's low power, it's no good, well, just remember there are different power versions available internationally, and in the UK there will be a firearm version available as well. But for today, I'm actually shooting a 25-metre target with the 177 sub 12 foot-pound rifle, and so far from provisional testing it's doing about 11.2 foot-pounds. So totally legal, and I'm having fun with it. I've put a SAC sound moderator on the front, I'm using sports match rings, and I've got an Element Helix 2-16 scope on top with 50mm front end. It's parallax adjustable, I've got my windage and elevation adjustment, zoom function, everything like that. And here we go, because we've got all sorts of different pellets to shoot. I've got JSB Exact 8.44 grain, JSB Exact 10.34 grains, which are a favourite of mine, JSB Hades, which are also 10.34 grains, and I've got some H&N Spitzkugel, which are a lighter. These are 8.64 grains. And if we get the chance, I've actually got some non-toxic RWS pellets. I'm a little bit cautious using these, and I'll use these last, and I have brought a cleaning rod with me, because sub 12 foot-pounds, non-toxic pellets like these I have had stick in the barrel before now, so it's a bit of a problem. Loading the magazine, we just rotate the collar there, take the lid off, and then after opening the tin of pellets, we'll do the 10.34s first, because I've got the chronograph set up for those. And all you've got to do is rotate the magazine all the way anti-clockwise, which is on the 177, is a little bit smaller than the 2.2. You've got to just dig your thumb in there a little bit to grip it. Take your first pellet, pop it in there, and then that will lock the spring on the magazine. And then we can add all the rest of the pellets up to the 16 round count that this 177 rifle has. Now, it's not too breezy today. I'm shooting 25 metres. I've got the wind flag out. I'm just watching it bobbing left and right a little bit. But you know, this is the real world. I think this is more of a hunting rifle from FX, and I actually quite like it for that perspective. My first look on it so far, which I did on the preview video, I like it a lot. I like the handling of it. I like the fact it's fully ambidextrous. It's got decent length to pull. Overall, it's a short length. Again, it's screw cut at the front, so I put a SAC moderator on it. Having the barrel running through the middle of the air cylinder, which is a 208cc cylinder, and it's a 230 bar fill, having that barrel through there is going to add a lot of stiffness to the structure. So we should have a more reliable, more consistent, and very compact rifle. And I've got to say, I do like the looks of it, because it's sleek, it's streamlined, and I think it handles really nicely. And so far, I've not done much more than just take a few provisional shots to it to get a sort of temporary zero. Fact is to note, it's quite a long magazine system, so you can fit larger slugs in it. I'm not going to shoot slugs on this with it being sub 12 foot-pounds, because in the past I just find they don't work. You do need reasonably tall scope mounts on it, because it's a low profile action with a sort of a large profile barrel cylinder type arrangement, and of course you've still got to get the magazine underneath the scope. The comb is a really nice shape. It's tall, it's slender, it's Monte Carlo, it's ambidextrous, but you'll find that it is actually very tall, so you get a really good cheek weld, and because you'll control that probably with your scope mounts, but you can't go too low anyway because you've got to fit the magazine in. So let's take a few shots. The classic rifle in 177 has a 500mm barrel, and it's a superior STX barrel liner. Magazine capacity in the 177 is 16 shots. 2.2 version has a 14-shot magazine, and it's a 12-shot if you go for a 2.5 caliber, although that's not available in sub 12 foot-pounds. Now, I can't do anything more than give you my spontaneous reaction. That target's 25 metres away. It's a 12 foot-pound 177 air rifle, and if you just gave me this and said go out hunting with it, I'd say right, that's all I need to do. I'm totally happy with that already. I'll probably take a few clicks off it just to drop the group down a little bit on target, but that's absolutely fine. It's just punching a nice cloverleaf hole. Now, I just sort of provisionally zeroed this in the garden yesterday night. I'm out now on the farm, so I have got a lot more space. So first group is a little bit high. I'm just going to wind this turret. Just been forward and move the camera. Overall length is 930mm or 36.5 inches. Length of pull is 343mm or 13.5 inches. Now that did throw me a big fly, that shot. So last round obviously blocks the magazine over. First impressions are, magazine system's working well. It is quite a tight fit in that pocket there though. The cocking lever is incredibly light. Safety catch on the right hand side here. I haven't used that yet, apart from when I messed up with it and forgot it was switched on yesterday when I was trying to do a dry fire. But that is all good so far. The only thing that's gone wrong with me so far is the chronograph hasn't been working and hasn't recorded those shots. But I think it's because I could have been doing too much talking to camera and it wasn't switched on. Now of course part of this review is finding out how many shots I do get real world out of the rifle, because the FX website does quote shot statistics, but the specifications on FX rifles do tend to vary for different legalities all around the world. So this one being a sub 12, it's very different to anything basically made for the US market, of course. Overall weight is 2,254 grams, which is £4 15 ounces. Right, I don't think it liked the Hades quite as much. The next one we're going to try is the 8.44 grain. These are the JSB Exact Diablos. With 16 shots, that magazine never seems to come to an end. Trigger on this rifle weighed 376 grams, which is 13 ounces. Right, we've had to have a little pause because it poured it down. I was just getting the impression on the last group there was a little bit of valve bounce going on, so I haven't gone through the whole cycle with the gun yet to see how many shots I'm getting, but at that stage it had 5 magazines worth, and on the chronograph it's down to 10.4 foot-pounds, 737 feet per second. So I've just given it a refill and I'm going to shoot another group with it now, and that feels a lot crisper and snappier again. That trigger is superb. It's very crisp. It's fully adjustable in position, but it's very crisp and it's quite light. It'll suit some people more than others, but you certainly can't complain about the mechanics of it. I would probably add a little bit of weight to it myself. I don't like those Spitzkugel pellets. They're not shooting very well and the power does seem a little bit down with them. I'm going to go back to the JSB Exact Heavy Diablos, because these have been a favourite pellet of mine for a long time, for a good reason. The consistency seems to be there in terms of the manufacturing quality. Reset the weight on this, 10.34 grains. That's just a better pellet for this rifle. Extreme spreads, 12 feet per second over 14 shots. Energy level is 11.1 foot-pounds, 696 feet per second. And this is with the JSB Exact Heavy Diablo 10.34 grain. And the wind's now just backed off for a second, but nice soggy targets, deep joy. What a surprise, it's raining again! Obviously, don't double cock the rifle because you'll put 2 pellets in the barrel, but you can release the pressure from the firing mechanism by holding the handle back, squeezing the trigger and letting it down slowly, and then of course it's totally neutral. The safety catch is quiet, you can just feel the little detent, but if your thumb's on top of it like that, it's very convenient and easy to use, and of course that dulls any sound it produces. Right, well, you've seen the rifle in use. I got on with it very well. I liked shooting it a lot, and I won't deny that immediately. I've shot a lot of FX rifles, and this is probably the cheapest one. It's probably also the simplest one, but for that reason possibly alone, I like it the most because it's perhaps the most attainable to most people. What can I tell you about it? Right, starting from the front to the back. I took the cap off, put a SAC moderator on it. That reduces the sound level quite a lot. It's a very, very steady rifle to shoot. Really a pleasure to use. The barrel and the system for using the actual pressure cylinder surrounding it is giving a much stiffer barrel. If it gets bumped and handled, knocked around in normal day-to-day use, it is holding zero very well. I'm very happy with that. Next stage is the plenum system. Well, I don't really get too involved in that because although this is an AMP2 regulator, it's not externally adjustable because this is the UK spec sub 12 foot-pound version. There will be an FAC version available, I'm told, and I'm looking forward to getting that. And when I do get one of those, I'll probably go for one of those in a 2.2 because this rifle, it's the 500mm standard rifle, is available in 177, 2.2 or 2.5 caliber with corresponding magazines, etc., shot counts, etc. Now, I would like to use the 2.2 FAC because I don't really want to run it over 950 feet per second, and that'll probably get me up somewhere over 30 foot-pounds, which is giving me perfect FAC air rifle terrain, so to speak. Filling up with a pin adapter I like a lot because it's not kind of any external sort of valve sticking out, the Foster connection sticking out. Clip straight into your Foster connector, go straight in the gun, fill up 230 bars, and that works really nicely. It's compact and it's usable. Now, in terms of the shot count on this rifle, I ran 3 main pellet types through it, and we've got them here. We've got JSB Exact 8.44 grain, we've got the heavy 10.34 grain, we've got the Hades 10.34 grain as well, and we're getting 16 shots per magazine fill. Now, I did all my testing, did all my shooting, did all that kind of thing. I leaded in the barrel a lot because when I first took it out shooting, it was quite breezy and I wasn't really getting great groups on target, as you'll agree, at 25 metres. No huge surprise, external conditions are not great. But I got lots of shooting done. I got the barrel really leaded up and stabilised and everything settled. So I then moved location, went inside one of the big hay barns at the farm, and I got 25 metres set up there. And that's when I really started to see some of the great performance from this rifle, because I'm not going to claim they all go through the exact same hole. What I will say is you're getting cloverleaf groups of the 5 shots, which is most likely representative of real hunting conditions. Now, after I'd done all that, I actually got the rifle set up with an FX True Ballistic Chronograph and did some serious ballistic testing and went through the whole sequence of doing groups with different pellet types, see what was going to shoot well consistently over the chronograph, if that's what matters to you, because personally I like to see what's working on target first. Now, all 3 of these JSB pellet designs worked well. I did shoot some H&N Spitzkugel, they didn't work well at all. And the non-toxic, the sintered tin ones, no, they didn't work at all, at all. These were okay, they're just nothing like as consistent as the Diablo style, because I think the pointed pellet's a little bit dated now. People don't seem to want them that much. Perhaps that's why. Now, when I did get down to the chronographing, I basically chose the 10.34 grain pellet because that seems to get the most out of the rifle. The lighter pellets weren't making 11 foot-pounds, they were 10.5-ish. The heavier ones are going between 11.1 and 11.3 foot-pounds, which is getting the most from the gun for UK law. I basically then did the long-term chronograph testing with the Hades, just because I just found them easy to use, easy to load into the magazine, because with it being a 177, the magazine is quite small and you do need to just be a little bit careful making sure you're dropping your pellets in. It's a little bit more difficult than a 2.2 or correspondingly a 2.5, but it's doable, and of course you just need that little bit of dexterity. Pop your first pellet in there and then just go all the way back and it will automatically work. The magazine was 100% reliable. It is actually quite snug to fit into the rifle though, so you do need to just make sure you're pushing it in nice and secure, but it doesn't mean you're not going to drop it out or anything like that. And it did work perfectly every single time the pellets are feeding okay. So I'll just pull that out of there now, and you can see it's just quite stiff. This is safe dry fire. Although I will say this, if you pull the bolt handle back, pull the trigger, you can then just slowly lower the bolt and you put the gun back to inert. So with those 16 round strings through the magazine, well, I shot 1 mag, 2 mag, 3 mag, 4 mag, 5 mag, 6 mag, 7 mag. On mag number 8, I did actually start to get a slight detection that I could feel a little bit of valve bounce going on inside. The pressure's dropping on that first stage system there. And by, you know, number 9, number 10 was definitely, you could see it dropping off. And the extreme spread went from sort of 7 or 8 feet per second on that 16 shot string, way out to about 50 feet per second, because then it suddenly drops off. Because, you know, your pressure gauge on the side is showing you, you're below 100 bar, you really have lost it. But the thing is, at the end of the day, if you're getting, you know, 120, 130 perfect shots out of a hunting air rifle, how many more do you need without being able to go back and refill? Because if you're having that much fun, you'll be happy to refill and shoot some more. It's not like you're getting 5 shots and having to go refill. So either way around, if you're out doing a bit of target shooting, something like that, again, 120, 130 rounds, that's a decent session without having to drag a bottle with you. So I'm really happy with that. Now, in the FAC specification version, you're probably going for the longer 600mm barrel. You've got more air capacity in it because this is just 208 cc's. And that will give you a little bit more of a shot count for the FAC spec rifles, which according to the FX website, which I don't trust completely will stay constant for the UK, running about, will be probably 18 to 20 foot-pounds, which I think makes a really good ratting setup, to be fair. Now, what else can I tell you about this rifle? The trigger is very consistent, it is adjustable as well, and it is quite light. So a lot of people do like light triggers. I probably have it a little bit heavier because it was only about 300 grams, but it's very tactile, 2-stage unit, and you can really put your finger on that and just feel it and then just squeeze for the shot. It's totally crisp. And perhaps the biggest thing I like about this rifle, for a hunting rifle, perhaps it's not as applicable to other people as it is to me, but I love the fact it's virtually ambidextrous other than the cocking lever on the right side. And that cocking lever really is super light and fast to use. It's quiet as well. The cheek piece is tall, it's slender, and you do get really good scope alignment with it. Don't go for a super long eye relief scope because it's quite a compact rifle. You might want to go for lay forward mounts if you've got super long eye relief, because I did find myself just a little bit kind of craning back just a little bit to keep my head away from the scope, and that's with it all the way forward. That's 100mm eye relief. Different scopes will suit different people differently, and mounts and different things will overcome that. Because you've got an 11mm dovetail, you can pretty much put whatever you want on there. I used some sports match mounts because that's what I had, and they were tall enough to keep over the top of the magazine and make sure I had enough clearance between the scope bell and the top of the pressure cylinder. Now the stock is injection moulded, but it's got a soft touch finish on it. It's quiet in use and it doesn't seem to make too much noise if bumped and banged around. The recoil pad really does fit well into your shoulder and grip in place, and ergonomically I would probably go to say that this is my absolute favourite FX rifle, adjustable or not, because of that lovely slim cheek piece design, excellent natural scope alignment, and the fact it's just so light and handy to use. The rifle itself weighs 2,200 grams, it's less than £5. It is super light, super handy and super usable, and I think it's going to shoot smaller, maybe younger shooters as well, and it gets everybody into the sport having fun. Length of pull at 343mm or 13.5 inches is about right for an air rifle. It makes it quick, it makes it handy. If I was going for precision shooting, going for just prone shooting, I'd probably want a little bit longer for me personally, out to about 14 inches. But the overall length of the rifle is very short, compact, and as you can see on camera, it's easy to shoot, easy to manoeuvre around, and it's superb for pest control. I am absolutely desperate to shoot the FAC version to see how that compares, how the extra bulk or the longer barrel might make a huge amount of difference to it. But as far as 12 foot-pound air rifles go, I think this is an awesome piece of kit from FX. I have no real criticism of it at all. There's one slight thing I would mention, and it's not really a criticism because it's not something you can't do something about, but it doesn't have any sling swivels on it. And I think personally that's a little bit of a weak point for a hunting air rifle, because you'll spend a lot of time, you know, walking around, maybe using your binoculars or your thermal imager, and you'll want it hanging on your shoulder, and because it's light, handy, hangs on your shoulder easily, but it can't because it's got no sling. So FX, please put some sling studs on there. They're not the sort of thing you couldn't add yourself if you wanted. I certainly can't to this rifle because it's not mine, it's a review rifle, but you could go about doing that yourself at a later date. Does it matter that it doesn't have a Picatinny rail? Not at all. Most air guns don't have a Picatinny rail. It's great if you've got one. It's another superb system, but for air rifle levels of recoil and things like that, you don't need one, and of course you've got great linear adjustment on those. The action shape with these sort of machined aluminium facets on it, I quite like as well. It's very compact, and you've got a lovely light, smooth, quiet safety catch too. So I think that pretty much goes as far as saying all I can say about this rifle. All the details are on the FX website to give you the facts and figures, but don't trust them all because some of them will apply to different country specifications. And do bear in mind, if it's a UK rifle sub 12 foot-pounds, you're not going to be talking one of these great fully externally adjustable setups. You have got the plenum on here, so you do get that stage of regulation on it, and it does make it a very consistent rifle. I got 16 shot strings of less than 3 feet per second extreme variation, so I was very happy with that. And you can see from the targets shot on screen, it certainly does print. And if you want to keep shooting it and shooting it and shooting it until you can video a one whole group and tell the world that your rifle does that every time, please feel free. But I give you real world results, and you can tell from my personality, I don't really settle easily with rifles that are hard work to use, because they're hard work to use, hard work to film, hard work to look good on camera. This is one of those rifles where all I had to worry about was the weather, which is good because all it ever does is be windy and rain these days. But using this was absolutely problem free. Filling it's easy, 120, 130 shots between fills was fine. I tended to sort of top it up between every sort of 5 or 6 magazines before I'd done the full chronograph assessment of when it did finally drop off. But that was me just being ultra cautious to start with before I'd done the chronographing. So I'm really happy with that level of shot count from it. I mean, I compare this to a rifle I've owned for 10 years, which is a 177 pre-charged. It's got a 14 shot magazine. It'll do probably 3, maybe 4 magazines. There's a power curve on it, and that rifle is significantly more expensive than this one if you buy it now. And to be quite honest, I could be very tempted to swap, because this does everything you could possibly want from a sub 12 foot-pound hunting air rifle in 177 or 2.2. If you want a 2.5, go for it, but I think I'd stick personally to one of the first 2 calibers unless you're going up into the FAC range. So there you go. There's my facts, figures and overall opinion of this FX DRS Classic Synthetic. Serious thumbs up from me. I like it a lot. I'm going to be putting a night vision scope on this. Pard DS is going on this, because I want to go ratting with it. I know I need to be very precise with the sub 12. I need to make sure I'm going for those headshots, but I think that's going to be really fun. And the thing is, when you've got a rifle that's so dynamic and ergonomic and just a pleasure to use and consistent, I think that's going to be some fun shooting. Now, when I did the first impressions video on this rifle a few days ago, I asked you to put all your comments on the YouTube video. So I got about 20 back, and here's a bit of a mixture of what people asked for. Some said, I had mine 2 days, it toppled over and then broke. Well, unfortunately, you dropped it. It broke because you dropped it, dropped the stock, broke the stock. Thank you, someone at last who does a review, actually measuring things with your kitchen scales. Actually, they're the armory scales, which sometimes get used in the kitchen. Someone says, saw that shooting show, wonderful rifle and very light. Someone's put, had mine a couple of months now and really like it. Someone else put, can't wait for the full review. Looks a nice gun. Thanks, Chris. Like reviews, like your style. Interested to see your moderator, which you attached that big tube. Got to be a biggie to look right. Well, yeah, not really. I mean, I use SAC moderators on 17 HMR, 2-2 rimfire, and on air rifles where they fit with the correct thread. And I've got a few of them in different thread sizes. And I think you'll see it's very pleasant to shoot. Next question, gun in a box, that's an age thing. Yes, it is an age thing because I put the gun on the floor in the box and forgot I left it on the floor in the box. I only see one gauge. How do you know what pressure the tank is? Well, that is your external tank pressure. This is a sub 12. It's not all externally adjustable like some of the US rifles or international rifles will be. This is UK specification. That's why you've got one gauge there, gives you 230 bar fill. You've got max pressures 250 bar on that, and I tended to refill when I drop below 100 bar. Next question, I'd like to see how well it grooves at 80 to 100 metres. And I did reply to that one. I said, you might just want to curb your enthusiasm a little bit there because this is the sub 12 foot-pound UK version. It's not the super long range 80 to 100 metres for an air rifle capability. And he did then say, ah, yeah, I see what you mean. So be realistic. And then someone else put, this is the last one, someone else put, please try slugs. And I thought, slugs, sub 12 foot-pound air rifle, I don't always get great results with them. And then I had a dig through and I didn't have any 177 caliber slugs. Anyway, so I didn't use them. So I've ordered some and I've got some 10 grain Zan slugs on the way to me, hopefully by the weekend. So we'll give those a go and we'll maybe do a little part 3 to the FX DRS review system. And that will be available in a few more days' time. Right, well I hope you've enjoyed that video, my thoughts and opinions on the DRS. I really like it, to be quite honest. So please like, subscribe, comment, click the notification bell and keep track of the regular uploads. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.